first time ever, I think I saw.
They were the first time in house champions.
That's awesome.
And it was the first time getting section finals since 2004.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's even pre-me. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
good work.
Not bad.
Thank you.
Cool.
I'll be more attuned and attentive.
No, it's fine.
Oh my gosh. I forgot my computer. That's what I was like, why am I going empty-handed?
You what?
I forgot I was,
I forgot the same thing, so now I'm pulling on my phone and
I
doing it.
I don't need anything, right?
I'm used to like sitting in my laptop,
Really?
which I'm not anymore.
Okay, so let's see,
Are we live right now, by the way?
we are live right now. So everyone, I've let everyone in. I'm gonna start the recording. And not sure why it's not doing the speakers.
That's why I pulled up my phone.
Okay. Welcome, everyone. It's 7:01. And like to maybe start up with some announcements. This is a hybrid. We're in person. Everyone else is on Zoom. And so we're live streaming. So we're going to ask people if you could turn your mics off, and when you're not speaking during public comments, if you could turn your cameras off. With that, and I will like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the proposed local law rental and vacant residential properties.
Second?
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
And so if someone has a comment they would like to make about the public, for the rental and vacant residential properties law, please raise your hand. And we will call on you. And if not, we will leave this public hearing open, but we also have a public hearing tonight on the 2022 town board budget. So I'd like to make a motion to open that public hearing as well.
Second?
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
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 if you change the view to gallery, you'll see more people.
Well, it's supposed to be us
Mhm.
that's on here.
I won't change it for other people though. It's all up to other people. You know what I mean?
So if someone has a comment they would like to make on the, for the budget hearing, please raise your hand. I'll call on you. If not, we will leave that open as well, and we'll start with the town board meeting. Okay, so Edgar, I knew it. Okay, great.
And
So,
Tom,
if-
too.
Tom was before me, so
okay, go ahead, Tom.
I'm working on it here,
We can hear you, Tom.
and there I am. I was not sure about the format of today's meeting. When I last asked a question about budget, I said, what's the best way for citizens to ask questions? And you said the public meeting. I assume that's today.
It is, you can ask questions. We don't usually do the back and forth, but I mean, you have been asking lots of questions. I know Dan's been meeting with you regularly. Gene's been
No.
sending you emails, so I
Correct.
hope you've had them answered.
No. Well, as you know, the budget is a deep book. I just wondered whether we were breaking the general format issue. What I guess I want to say at the first out, I want to give the board a real shout out for posting the 2021 preliminary budget in Excel format. That's extremely helpful. I also want to thank Gene Galucci, Controller Galucci, and Deputy Supervisor Torres for providing a lot of additional information and clarification. Naturally, I do look forward to working on some of the other things that I think will help to make the the budget more transparent and useful to a full range of citizens. I was wondering today whether you would start off with a more general statement about the budget and the kinds of challenges the town is facing and how you generally approached it. This kind of thing that might be in a public message. Apparently, that's not what you're planning to do.
Well, that's number 5 on the agenda.
Don't you think that's a little bit backwards? I mean, how's the public supposed to comment on something that they haven't heard yet?
Well, we have been talking about the budget, but
No, you
if
really
you'd like,
haven't
I
because-
can give my brief discussion right now if you think that would be helpful. I'm happy to get it out of the way. You know,
Well, we'd
it's,
welcome that, sure.
well, it's fairly brief, but it's you know, it's kind of where we are right now with this. So kind of give people a rough idea. The tax levy right now, we're at $10,676,950, which is an increase of $516,642, $516,642, or 4.9% increase over last year's tax levy of $10,160,308. So some of these increases, the reason it has gone up is healthcare costs have increased by $125,000 this year. Personnel costs have increased by $373,865 due to contractual agreements. Workers' comp has gone up by $38,553. And the big one is that our debt payment has gone up $390,500. And the reason for that is also the reason we're having the meeting here. The debt has gone up by $390,000 because we have built a new courthouse and police station. We've been renting the police station for the last 10 years. The town has not built any new buildings in probably 40, maybe 50 years now.
That's probably right. Yeah.
So, you know, we are very behind on investing in our infrastructure in the town. And so instead of renting and having an unsure future of where we are, when I was elected and Dan was first elected and Julie was elected in 2015, there was a plan in place to solve the problem of the police station and the courts. And we worked on that for many years, and we have finally solved the problem with the courts and the police station. With this building, we still are in rented trailers out by the highway garage. We were not meant to be there as long as we have been, but we're also working on that solution. And so we'll see what happens with that. So, you know, I was going to talk a little bit about infrastructure. I think that the town has not done what we needed to do for a long time. I think over the last 6 years, this current board has made the right investments. You know, we've probably bought $1 million worth of vehicles for the highway department over the last 6 years, all of which are needed. We have more to go. Some of the trucks are in desperate need of repair. We're not fixing them all in 1 year. We've started saving for those, and we're getting there. Within another 2 years, I think we're going to be able to address more of Chris's needs, but we put some of those costs back. We can't do it all in 1 year. We're still also recovering from COVID. You know, so back on to meet the tax cap of 2%, we can only raise taxes by $203,000. So we're clearly over the $203,000 just on what I call fixed costs. You know, when Gene and I kind of went back and looked over everything, you know, right, we talked about this last year when we made very big cuts in the budget for 2021. We actually reduced spending by think I had it in here, but $261,000 in 221 versus 220. We did say at the time, we're gonna have to put that money back into the budget. We did not do that this year. We still have all of those cuts. These increases that we're looking at now are really about increases in fixed costs, like I said, healthcare, debt, workers' comp, retirement. Gene calculated out what we've only added, I think, $42,000 to spending we're only spending $42,000 more this year than we did last year, if you take out all of these increases. So, when you add up all of these increases, the healthcare, the personnel, the debt payment, that comes out to $927,000. So we've actually eliminated $426,000 of spending by cutting back on different things in different departments, by putting off, maintenance or purchases for another year, because we're still trying to get back. Hopefully, we've seen some increases in revenue this year. Things are getting better. Mortgage tax are up, sales tax is up. Fees from the transfer station are up that we get from the UCRRA because more people are throwing things away. We don't know if those are going to continue to go up. So we've been a little conservative with some of those numbers, but if we're not going through the roof with them, but we've increased them from last year's budget because things are getting better. We don't know if they're going to stay better. So if we want to meet the tax cap this year, we still have to cut about $300,000 out of the budget. I would like to use that on one-time only expenses. If we're not careful, if we just put that money into the budget, these increases like debt and healthcare, they're going to still be here next year. And then we're going to have to come up with $600,000 all at once. So Gina and I we're going to talk about it. We'll try to come to the next meeting with some proposals for some one-time costs that we can cut out to get it below 4.9. And we'll see how far down we can get it. But I do think we have to be careful to not set ourselves up to fail in a year from now or 2 years from now. And then suddenly not have to raise taxes or even borrow money to meet our budget. So I think we have to do our best to be careful about what we're spending money on. And I think we did. All of the department heads made cuts again this year. But at some point, we're going to be cutting services. And I think we have to be careful about what we do, but we're going to come back with some more cuts, maybe if we can find some. Gina and I found another one today. It's not in here yet, but that's my presentation for the budget. We could go into other things that we've done as a town board that if we want to get into particular details, but I do think it's important to invest in infrastructure. If you've been to the previous courthouse, you'll realize that you've been to our town board meetings and that other courthouse that needed some serious work. We hadn't done what we needed to do. I think we have now. We'll be having public meetings here in the future. And that's kind of what I have to say for the budget presentation. And so now if people have questions, I'm happy to open public comment back up. And maybe I should have done it the other way, but thank you, Tom.
All right. Thank you, Neil. That's extremely helpful. It's a lot of numbers in one fell swoop. I do want to personally and agree with you on the importance of maintaining the physical plant. Not doing so always comes back to haunt you. And I also would tend to agree that the COVID money should be used on one-timers because it is a one-timer. It's not a good thing to use for current expenses. We had one other idea about how to do that, but let me get to that. Speaking of the debt issue, we were fortunate enough to get from Dan a copy of the debt schedule. And it's an explosive piece of information, so I don't want to be accused of completely misunderstanding it. It seems to say that you're borrowing, we are all borrowing $8 million for the police and justice building. Is that correct?
Yes,
Is that building costing 8 million?
yes,
Because what you've committed to is spending in debt service costs, $700,000 a year till 27 and $500,000 a year till 2040.
I think, is that for the water district as well?
No, it's only for that building. And the only savings that anybody has pointed out that this building is creating is the $90,000 in rent that you used to pay at the police headquarters. I don't know, that looks, even if it's great to build a new building every now and then, I don't see how you justify that. How do you do that?
Well, the lease was up on the old building. There was no guarantee that we would pay what we were paying 10 years ago when we signed the lease. So it's hard to say that that's what our payment would have been going forward. It also,
Yep.
so
Sorry, go ahead.
we can't guarantee that that's what our payment would be going forward. We do know it's cheaper to renovate a building than to build a building, because we looked into building buildings, and the costs for building a new building was about $16 million,
Okay,
which is why we looked at this building. You're also not including the cost of, we cannot stay in trailers with the town hall. We had to abandon the last town hall because there were mold issues. It was not a healthy building. The employees were not doing well in it. So we're now in rented trailers that are fine on a temporary basis, but they don't meet code. We do not have potable water in town hall. The septic system is probably not going to last much longer. It was built as a temporary structure to last 3 years. We're now at maybe 7 years. So we need to replace the town hall. So something had to be done. By now freeing up the courtroom, it opens up the potential to move the town hall to that building. So at some point, we have to build or buy a building for the town hall, because the other one was torn down because it was moldy. And I don't know if you were paying attention to the town meetings back then, but it was so unsafe, we actually had to actually reinforce the building to tear it down because it was so unsafe that the contractors couldn't go in there anymore. They weren't safe going in there. So we had to spend money to fix the building before we could tear it down. So it does seem like a lot, but we also don't have many choices because the town did not invest in infrastructure for 50 years.
well, as you're saying, it does come to bite you, but paying $700,000 a year to save 90, or even double that, or even triple that. And then we're going to probably make it worse, right? So I don't know where that money's coming from. So that really requires something that we talked about a couple of years ago, a multi-year financial plan. This is deadly for the town. So if we have any kind of a downturn in revenues, and we face these kind of fixed costs, I'm sorry.
Luckily, we don't, our revenues are not based on sales tax. That's a very small component of our.
That's true.
So we don't have the same issues that many counties and cities have.
Right.
We get, I don't know what, 250,000, maybe $300,000 a year in sales tax.
We're living off of city pensions and other people's pensions, so that they can pay the real estate taxes. I'm sorry, I'm going to move on. And the police department budget, basically even, slight increase from last year's modified budget that I could tell. What's in there to implement the recommendations of the Reform and Reinvention Collaborative?
Can I ask a question, please? Or is this a back and forth conversation? Did I miss how Are we
No,
running this like a
you're right,
budget
David. It's
workshop?
not
or is
normally
this
a back and
budget?
forth, so, yeah.
We could,
We
can we
can-
just take a note and get back to?
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
take notes, or you can send them in as an email after you talk about them, and we'll try to get back in touch with you.
Hey, Tom, no disrespect intended. I'm all for having, if we want to have a budget meeting where we, we schedule a certain meeting and we share information and we have back and forth conversation. I'm all for that.
Okay.
But this is a public hearing, and that's not how a public hearing, from my understanding, if we're going to answer questions from everyone and go back and forth on everyone, I just want to understand that we're going to do that for everyone.
I mean,
I
I would
just
say.
want-
that,
Hold on,
I
Tom.
guess-
I just want to check if this is a public hearing or not.
All right.
It is, David.
My whole point, as everybody knows, is there needs to be a lot more information out to the public in advance of the public hearing, so that there's more knowledge, that people can ask smarter and meaningful questions. And I don't think there's anything that I've asked that's terribly obvious. I would, so anyway, that's a question. Chief Lucchese indicated that he would be putting that into the budget. We were concerned that in an era of police reform, that we would have even further increases in the police budget. I guess I also have a question, just in particular about the recycling center, which we love. And just interested to understand more about the sort of at least 3-year trend of reductions and how that's being accommodated to allow them to continue their operations and to continue moving the town in direction of the zero plan, zero to the landfill plan. Thank you.
All right, Edgar?
I'm Edgar Rodriguez, a resident of New Paltz for 48 years, and soon it'll be a half a century. I guess that makes me a townie. I'd like to comment on the proposed budget of 2022 because it reflects values. I just examined the debt service information for our town and hope I understood it correctly. If I've misunderstood anything, please correct me. This also comes on the heels of the experience when I was a school board member about 10, 11 years ago, when similar issues occurred, where a proposal on referendum to raise money, bond money, to pay for $50 million of the middle school blew up the town of New Paltz like never before, because it was going to raise our debt to $100 million. So I'm very conscious about debt service. I understand it. I like to make sure that I understand some of the parameters of the information that I received. First of all, through the year 2045, I understand that as of right now, the total debt is $24,576,000. Is that information correct? Okay,
That's what we sent you, yes.
Okay, then further looking at that, and one of the reasons that I'm raising these questions about debt service and the questions that Tom has asked is at the last meeting, the issue was raised. I'm wondering if you have resolved it about the cuts to the youth in the town of New Paltz. You were slated in the budget that I attended was cut to the youth programs and another $19,668,000 for recreation, that category where you have about 8, 10 items under recreation. I see that as services to the youth. And I'm not even talking about the Office of Community Health, Wellness. I'm not talking about programs for seniors, Memorial Pool, Field of Dreams, etc. So on that question specifically, are you still going to cut that amount of money from the budget to meet the gap that you have, which is about approximately $300,000, or which leads to a 4.9 increase? If you don't want to answer that, that's okay. I wish that you assure me that that's not going to be the case, because it's important to understand the question of values. If you it's important to understand the question of, I want to make sure that I'm heard, because somehow you've taken me off the screen here.
Yeah,
We can hear you.
we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm sorry, let me just proceed. If I understand the $25 million and the question of values, if I subtract $10.1 million, which is going to be paid by the New York City Department of Environmental Protection regarding some water project that I don't completely understand, that still leaves a debt of $14 million in place. If I then subtract the police debt service, that debt service is $11,226,000. If you divide that last number by the total debt, that's around 77% of the budget of the debt service in New Paltz. It's going to meet policing and the courthouse, which I characterize as all having to do with policing. That number will get a little worse when you, because I just learned that the Henry Du Bois, I think it's the bike path, which is the debt for that will be $701,000. That 80% of that is going to be covered by some other outside source. So if you subtract that out of the debt service, well, then the percentage approaches over 80%. So that when we talk about value, we're saying that funding policing and the court system to this kind of a tune is so important over the human needs that we have in the school district, in our community, like the youth program, like the recreation program, so that directly the value decisions that this board made at a time when, admitted by the data and the police chief, we have low crime in New Paltz. I believe similarly we have low fire incidents, and this board selected to put us in this kind of debt at the same time, knowing that you also have more projects ahead of you, like the town office. I thought there was going to be an expansion of the community center. I thought that the teen scene center might be improved or moved or extended, so that I fundamentally hope that I have not misunderstood these numbers of over $25 million, $24.5 million total debt, that the police debt will be $11,226,000, and how that reflects for us. Do I have any of these numbers? Did I misunderstand them? Did I misread them? Did I misquote them? Because
Most of them,
the
yes.
debt is $695,000 for 2022, and it was $495,000 for 2021. So I would dare say that those decisions that reflect your values led to the shortfall that we had last year, and that are now leading directly to the crisis that we encounter now with having to increase to 4.9 the tax burden of New Paltz. Please correct any of the numbers that I've given. If I'm wrong, I want to be corrected. Thank you.
I don't know if we have the time.
I don't even know where to begin to correct them. You're not even wrong because they're so bad. That's another quote. So I can't even begin to address. They're just so wrong, Edgar. So I will.
Can we meet and discuss them? I want to be corrected, but I have a printout that shows that the debt is $24.5 million.
Edgar, maybe another time. We have a lot to do tonight. We can't go into, there are so many mistakes in what you're saying, but.
Can I meet with you to correct them?
Yeah. Okay, so first off.
No answer.
All right, well, I'm not going to go back and forth. We'll talk about this.
Will you meet with me to clarify it? I guess no answer means no. I'd like to be corrected.
Is it my turn? I also just want to say I'm raising my hand. I don't have the hand on mine, so this is Tammy.
I just want to be clear.
Maggie's
this
next,
This is a public hearing. We're happy to do that. It's not our role to just hear broader statements or opinions from members of the public, and then our job to then correct those opinions. We can have fact-based conversations on the budget that we have and the decisions that are ahead of us as well. We're talking about a lot of past things, and we're talking about it in a very incorrect and convoluted way. And that is if you choose to do that at these hearings, that is your choice.
Yeah.
But it is then not on us during a public hearing to have to go back and forth specifically when there are so many errors with the information that's being stated. So I hear what you're saying, and maybe we can have another venue to have that conversation, but that's not what this is. And we've done this now for a number of years, and that has never been what this is. So
So Maggie and then Tammy, you can go after Maggie.
Okay, thank you. I want to comment, echo Tom's comment on having more information and being more transparent and being helpful to us.
Let me just say, first off, we've put the entire budget
Right,
online. I don't think it gets more transparent than that.
right. Well, that's why I wanted to comment and thank you for that.
Okay.
Because I felt it was helpful. We were able to get a document that we could use and do analysis with an Excel format. So I want to thank you for that. I think that even though it may be hard to do, I do appreciate that there has been an opportunity to go back and forth to try to clarify and get some understandings of areas that we were not familiar with, that some of us may not be familiar with. And I will ask that if there's an opportunity, and not with Edgar, but certainly we could bring those questions and make it less public if that's what the need is because of your time frame. So I'd ask to do that, and we'll follow up with that. But I do want to understand how the question of what priority, which need would take precedence. The town, as you've identified, has been for a long time under the need for having a building. So I guess I'm trying to understand, and if that's not proper to ask and answer here, then we'll do it later. But it is a question. How is that prioritized? Was it there was more money for the police department earlier on, and there was less availability for a town hall? And then I would also suggest that the village hall and that facility is really pretty mediocre at this point anyway. So if you're thinking about renovating a building and getting that going with the village, I would suspect that that's going to be very expensive also. I'm also going to reinforce Tom's idea of really having a financial plan to be able to come up with the money in less in a less expensive way, or not so much a less expensive way, but in a way that won't be as scary to people who are hearing that there might be a 6%, 5%, 4.9% increase. And I do understand that you're going to try to reduce that, but those reductions are going to go into areas that provide real valuable service. And Edgar did talk about the cuts in services to the youth program. And that's very small. I would just ask you not to cut that. That's such a small amount, okay? You didn't, okay.
We have not cut the youth program.
yeah, and that's my.
Good, thank you. All right. Anyway, but
So I don't want to go back and forth, but also like.
no, don't. I'm not asking that. I'm just,
accusations out there that are just not true.
yeah, okay.
And, then this is how rumors start, that we're cutting the youth program, we're cutting the senior program. These cuts are not, they're not over. Sometimes a department head will ask for an increase, and then we cut it back to what they had last year because we can't afford to increase certain things. I'm not saying that's what happened in the youth program. We've done that with the police. We've done it with the highway department. We've done that with almost every department for the last 2 years because they're like, well, we're coming out of COVID because it feels like we're coming out of COVID, but we're not out of it yet. So we may say, you know what, you needed to buy a new vehicle. You needed to buy a new mower. We can't do it this year. We can put some money into an account and we can get halfway there, and then we can buy some this year, some next year. Those are the things. When we say cuts, we may not, it's like you don't get everything you asked for. That's what a cut is. But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so thank you.
Really don't want to go back and forth.
Thanks for clarifying. So I guess maybe you'll clarify when and how the determination was made to do the police department over the town hall. That's and when that might.
Like we voted as a board, Maggie.
Yeah.
that,
We had
like,
public
that
hearings.
we had public
years ago.
hearings. We
Okay.
voted on this. We talked about it in public. We had several different scenarios.
There's
This-
multiple.
Does that- Yeah, but does that mean that,
Maggie, this project has been going on since 2014
so does that mean there's a simple answer that you decided this because why?
because it was a priority.
Okay, over the town, all
You
right.
said
I'll
yourself,
clarify.
Maggie,
That's
you said
okay, that's,
yourself- Wait, let me finish here.
Yeah,
You said
okay.
yourself that the village hall is mediocre at best. That's our courtroom. That building needed to be updated. The police are in a rented building where the lease was running out and the rent was going up at 4.25% every single year. That lease was over. Who knows what we would have been able to negotiate for a new lease? And even if we had, all we were doing is kicking the can another 10 years down the road.
Folks, with
Okay, let's
all due respect, these decisions were made years ago at public meetings. To come in now and say, why did you do that back then? It's not a conversation to have now. It's not a conversation to have now. We all made that decision together, right? With community input and public hearing. It's like to say like, well, why did you make that decision 5 years ago like that? It's like, really? That's what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, but David, does that suggest that anybody who moves into the town 2 years ago doesn't have a right to ask questions?
Well,
Or
you can
anybody
ask questions. Maggie, you can ask questions. You can ask questions, but there's no simple answer to why did we decide to build a courthouse over.
Well,
a
no, you
village
did
hall? It's
answer
very
simple.
complicated.
Actually,
It's
you
very
did.
complicated.
You did answer it pretty simply. You said years ago, decisions were made
Okay, I think we should.
But we'll
in the
move
public,
on.
and it was
But-
decided that the public needed to have a courthouse over the town hall. That's okay. That's okay. That's a simple question and a simple answer.
You're implying,
No, but I don't
you're
want to debate it. It's
implying-
not proper to debate it.
you're implying that these decisions were made in some back room.
No, I'm not implying that. I don't mean to imply that at all. I'm trying to understand it. That's all. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
And maybe what I need to do is I'll go back. to
Yeah,
some
do your
old-
homework. Do your
I'll
homework
go
or
back
ask
to
a
some
question.
old- I'll go back to some old town board meetings and hear how that decision was made. Okay.
Or may I suggest, if you folks have a list of questions and you want to meet with the supervisor and say, we're unclear about a whole bunch of things, then you can meet with the supervisor and do that. But what it ends up looking like, to be quite honest, is that you come to these meetings and you make things that end up looking like accusations of improper, decision-making and activity that are just like, we feel like we need to defend that it was through a proper process. And it's really uncomfortable. The supervisor said, please schedule a meeting, come on in and ask questions and get clear about what you may not have been aware of back then. No disrespect.
Dan
It's okay
has
that
met
you
with
weren't
you
aware of that.
how many times? A half dozen times? Right? I'm going to say this one more time. Maggie, Tom, and Edgar, the three of you, if I add up your public comments, the three of you have spent more time speaking than we as board members have spent speaking over the last year. You each make multiple comments every single night. Maggie,
Excuse me. I make a 3-minute comment and if you give me more time, I appreciate. That's absolutely not true.
this is not.
It's okay. I'm not going to debate. It's improper to debate this.
You're going
I'd
to
be
make a
happy to
3-minute
meet-
comment now. You're going to make
will
I
be-
bet you're going to make a 3-minute comment during public comment, and you're probably going to make a 3-minute comment about something else later
Oh
on.
my goodness, 9 minutes of public comment for one person. That's
saying-
terrible.
I think we should.
It's the
we should
same-
move.
I think we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't do this. I'd be happy to meet with you. If that's what you need, that's
What
what
I'm
I'll
saying,
do.
Maggie, is if the same three people are coming with the same problems all the time, show me, you know what, you say you represent a much larger faction, bring
No,
them to the.
I only say I represent myself, okay? I've never said I represent anybody but myself,
All right,
okay?
I want to take a deep breath, all
But
of us.
listen, yeah, I think that we should, that's not where I want this to
No,
go.
Maggie, let's all take a deep breath. So I just want to say that I know that we've met once. I've chatted with Tom a bit. I think a Zoom format is very hard to hear tone and understand one another. To be really candid
you.
with you, and I'm just going to ask you to put yourself in our shoes. We all work very hard. We're very stressed with COVID. We do our best for our community. And I think every meeting, whether it's accurate or not, doesn't matter. I think a lot of times the way the questions are asked come off as accusatory, which I'm not saying is always your intention. And I think that we should do a better job here of understanding that you're a member of the public trying to get information. And likewise, I think what we should do is continue to work with formats that are easier to have these dialogues, opposed to a public hearing like this, where it feels like you're being called out by us and we're calling you out. That's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for us. So I know that I think, have done
Thank you,
well in
Dan.
having these conversations.
I agree.
I'm happy to continue to do that when that makes sense. I apologize for us getting a little heated. To be honest with you, whether you meant it or not necessarily you, but some of the comments that were made tonight, I do think came off right or wrong as you guys kind of questioning us. So I think it's best that we continue these conversations. A public hearing format like this is not the best place to do it, but I'm happy to continue to have those conversations with you. I think we can all take a deep breath. We have a meeting ahead of us with a lot of other stuff. So I think we should continue with other members who have comments beyond this.
I would like to have my 3 minutes.
Absolutely.
So I just want to say that I agree with the past people who have spoken. This is reckless spending. I know I haven't been to these police meetings, but $8 million for a building is unreal for a town of what, 6,000 people, 7,000 people? When we have a university police, we have a state police. How dare you spend our money like this? Number one. Number two, you work for us. When this woman Maggie is speaking, you work for her. She doesn't work for you. Get that straight. Okay? And I would like to have a committee of people looking at these finances, because this is a debt in our community now. Now we're all going to have to pay for your reckless spending. And I'm ashamed of you guys. Absolutely. I'd like to see this spreadsheet. I'd like to see who voted on these things. And how dare you say now you need another building? Who's going to pay for all this? You maxed out our credit cards. It's like children running the show. We need a committee of adults looking at these numbers before you reckless people take your pen out and sign off on things. It's unbelievable. So now the police are going to have to run after everybody to collect that money for the $8 million? How are they going to pay for that? It's just unbelievable. Yes, I was not at these police meetings. I agree. I should have been there. I was too busy watching the water district that you created, which is another disaster. How many disasters can I watch at one time? I'm only one person. This is your job. This is not my job. You get paid to do this. I don't get paid. I don't have to watch you all day long. You're supposed to represent me, and you're not. You are absolutely not representing my needs, my wants, and my desires. I would not spend $8 million on a police when the town is in trouble. And I would not create a water district that wasn't necessary. And I know you're going to tell me it was, but it was not. And I know about the spending for this water district. It's absurd. And you're going to tell me it's New York City tax money? It's still people's money that you're playing with. What is this? Are you a board of elected officials, or are you children running around with a credit card? Because I've never seen this town in this shape, ever. This town is in a really bad shape now, and we need adults in the room.
For some reason, you can't get rid of it.
Okay. Thank you.
And
Thanks,
no,
Dennis.
I'd like to ask one more question. I would like to have a committee of people looking at these numbers, because something is obviously not working.
The committee of people is the 5 elected representatives of your
No,
board.
this is not working, clearly, not working.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Michael, you have a question or
Yeah.
comment?
Yes, thank you. Primarily about the water district. I'm not going to continue the discussions about the police building and other things. The city of New York has to shut down its aqueducts in order to meet health department requirements and do some repairs. Repairs that may be 100 years overdue. In order to shut it down, the village of New Paltz and the water districts in the town have to have an alternate source of water. the city has generously provided funds for the design and construction of a water district and 2 wells that will supply the village during this emergency and any future emergencies. There's additionally, there are dozens of people in Water District number 5, proposed Water District number 5, that have been waiting for this water to replace their inadequate or unhealthy well water. And that although there are voices in our water district that are opposed to this or have numerous questions to try and slow it down and re-argue what things that were argued in the courts, there are dozens of people in this water district who want this water now. The last thing I want to say is that regards to things like tree damage and costs, all of this was dealt with years ago and was challenged in the courts several times, several layers of courts. All of this has been litigated. There is absolutely no reason to go back and relitigate, and no legal basis for relitigating all of these issues. So please just get the water district started, get it finished before we maybe even lose the New York City money. Who knows? So let's be smart about this. This is going to pay for the design and construction of it. The only other thing I would add is neighbors, and myself included, would like to see a fee schedule for what we would pay for an average amount of water or water above the minimum amount. There's back and forth here among the neighbors, and it would help all of us if we had a detailed answer on that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask the engineers if we can pull some numbers together for that. And so the land is moving forward, just so you know. I think we sent letters out to all of the residents in the district. You may not have gotten them yet, but we sent letters out to everyone asking for contact information so we can keep everyone updated. We also have the town, there's a spot on the town's website where we're going to be posting updates as we move along. The goal is to keep everyone up to date. Once we have the schedule from the contractors, we're probably going to put another, we'll probably have a public or get together for everyone if everyone wants to come, and we can ask questions with the engineers and everyone else. So as we learn more about the timeline from the contractors, we're going to pass that along so everyone knows the schedule. And but roughly we're closing on the property tomorrow. The notice to proceed for all the contractors is going out as soon as it can, maybe next week. And the goal is to have it completely constructed by 9 months from now, 10 months from now.
Thank you. I just want to add, let's not allow anybody to relitigate things like trees or whatever. I mean, all of that was litigated to the death. In fact, for the last 5 years, this project has been delayed through litigation in the courts about the environmental reviews and other things. So let's not allow this to be slowed down or stopped for any reason related to things that were settled in the litigation. That's the purpose. There has to be a closure on things like this. Decisions by the town that have been upheld by the courts are final, that we can't keep constantly, every time there's a town meeting or a town board meeting or a public comment period, the same old issues are brought up again and again and again and again. We cannot allow that. That's just, that's the worst thing that can happen to town government. Thank you.
Okay. Liz and Matt.
We moved into the.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I
Yeah.
guess you guys are right. We're technically, so I apologize. We're still we haven't started the town board meeting yet, which is
No.
when we would have the public comment for issues that are not related to the budget and the rental and vacant residential property law. But I wasn't sure why people were talking, so I apologize for that. But we're gonna have public comment on any issue as soon as we get forward on that. So if someone has a comment on either of the public hearings, so the budget or the rental registration and vacant property law, we can take those questions now. And then when we get to public comment in a few minutes, we'll open it up for anything else.
I
They're
just
just
would like to say something. This is Tammy, because I didn't talk about the rental new law that you're creating. So when you give me a few minutes on that, I'd like to talk on that.
Liz and Matt had their hand up. If I let them go.
I'm happy to wait till public comment. I did think it was a public hearing on the budget. So I was waiting, but that fellow right before me started talking about the water district, which I wanted to comment on. So I'll wait my turn. Thank you.
All right. Tammy, if you wanted to make a comment about the rental and vacant residential property law that
I would like to. I'm a lot calmer on this issue because I was just sticker shocked from the other issue. So on this issue, I looked up the laws that give you the jurisdiction for New York State to oversee any damaged zombie property. You have every right to do that without creating new laws. You also have landlord-tenant rights that are also state law. So I don't understand what this new, if it's just creating more jobs or if you're creating more money or if you're going to really push people out of town and lower prices of the properties. I'm not sure what direction it's going in, but it's not necessary. I did research it and I sent you a letter about it. I cited the laws in New York State that cover these things. I don't understand what the additional government and regulations on top of already in place state laws that give you all the rights to go into zombie properties, to declare them zombie or vacant, to, if there's a landlord-tenant situation, there's so many laws about landlord-tenant court that it's overwhelming. So you want to put additional laws and you want to create additional rules. I don't get it. The Airbnb people were up in arms. You want to really rip out the middle class of this town because people barely could pay their taxes. They're renting out their houses. So then you want to go and oversee their business too. People were very, very upset with you guys at the last meeting. And I heard you took the Airbnb off the table because you probably had too much backlash on that. But now you're going after single homeowners or somebody with a duplex who's a middle class person just trying to make a living in that town. And I think it's unfair. They already have strict laws with landlord-tenant court, like I said, which if you look at those laws, it covers everything from unsafe properties to fire hazards, to having smoke detectors, to having all those things in place. So I don't understand why you're creating another job for another building inspector to put us in more debt and have more laws to cause more havoc. I don't get it. And I see that David thinks it's funny, but I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's funny.
So I know we've broken the rules so many times, so I'm just going to do it again. Tammy, we got your email earlier where I believe you referred or made reference to the law being similar to certain aspects of the Nazi party as well.
No, I said there's state laws, and I said your behavior is acting like Nazis because why are you over-regulating everything?
I appreciate that clarification on that point. So I do recommend that you watch the video that we talked about last time. I thought it was a very good conversation with a number of our neighbors on this. I'm aware that Airbnb sent out an email. That was not a correct read on what we were looking to do at all. What we're talking about on the table is simply registering Airbnb, something that a majority of
registering all rental properties.
all rental properties, which is something a lot of communities
rental
already
properties
do as well.
for that are non-owner occupied and that are not like duplexes, right? So, we're registering and inspecting rental properties so they're safe.
Yeah.
We're
So
not
the-
allowed to do that under the current laws, Tammy.
Tammy,
There's state laws for this. If a tenant has a problem, they could take their landlord to court in 5 minutes. I know that for a fact,
Meeting, and I think we should move
under
on.
the New York State law.
Yeah, I think we're going to
that's-
move on, but you should watch that meeting's online if you want to look. And I think that this conversation was discussed for well over an hour as well.
I just want to say I oppose this and I oppose more regulations. I think you guys are acting reckless. And it's not that the laws are reckless. The laws in New York State are laws. They're there for a reason. Your behavior over regulating is reckless. That's the difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment.
Any other comments on either of these two public hearings? If not, we will open the town board meeting. So,
Do we have to?
yeah. So I'd like to make a motion to open the town board meeting for November 4th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second, and just to be clear, those public hearings remain open.
Yes, they are
Yes,
open.
they are.
Thank you.
Let's see, public. So there's the pledge in here. Next. Yeah, so I guess maybe it's not on my agenda, but like, let's just stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Here it is.
Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's so much easier, not on Zoom to do the, that. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda for the town board meeting, and I need to add item 8, prepays.
And Neil, I'd like to add number 9, a request to approve our attorney, Joe Moriello, to review our ethics laws. I'd like to just add that as item 9.
It's their numbers.
Right there.
Great. Yes, we're going to do that. I was going to do that as part of number 7, but we can do that for number 9. So all in favor of the agenda as amended?
Second.
Aye.
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 No, it's like.
Okay, try and get on. You want to make a public?
I think we need to mute it.
I keep trying.
Okay.
Okay. So, here we go. Announcements, town offices, as well as the reuse and recycling center will be closed Tuesday, November 11th. This month's conversation with the police will be held Wednesday, November 17th at 10 a.m. at the New Paltz Police Department at 59 North Putt Corners Road. Coffee will be served. And with that, I would like to open the floor for public input. So these are, unlike the public hearings, we try to limit people to 3 minutes. And we want everyone to have a chance to speak. Some people, looks like, want to speak again, even though I said they speak all the time and they denied it, but I'll try to keep my mouth shut. And with that, Liz and Matt.
Okay. Hello. I don't know if my camera's working.
We can hear you.
Okay, well, we'll run with that. I tried to turn my camera on. My name's Matt Elkin. What's that, Neil?
Make sure that you're allowed to, so I think you can. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I have a face, but anyway,
It says it's on.
okay. Anyway, my name's Matt Elkin. I'm a resident town of New Paltz, new resident of Plains Road 2 years ago with my family. And we, just really started learning.
We lost you there, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear us, Matt, but we have definitely lost you. Do we want to maybe move on to another person and come back to Matt?
Must go on and is going on, and we're very
Matt, we lost you for a bit.
aware of that. I do want to say though that the environment is a concern of ours. We did send a letter in to the board, and we don't mean to slow the process down. We only mean to just make neighborhood suggestions on bettering the process. And one idea that my wife and I came up with was to request and hope for a qualified arborist to be present and involved throughout the project. Preferably not someone who would just be kind of there on paper, but someone who would be present. And it's not just because this is in my backyard. my front yard and my backyard, actually. It's not, this is not a NIMBY comment. It's also because I've recognized Plains Road to be an extremely historic and popular street for this town. And we're all a part of this town, obviously. And for it to be potentially disrupted, the nature of it and the environment disrupted by reckless digging, reckless project management, et cetera, would be a real shame for all of us, not just the residents, the tourists, and other people that enjoy here in the town. So we just recommend and request that there be an arborist involved, and that arborist might bring ideas to the table like hydrovacking during digging, which circumvents root damage and things like that. I just want to reiterate, I am not intending on relitigating, which I believe is what the man said earlier. This is not about going back to court, and it's not about slowing things down. It's about doing this job the best that we can as a team here in New Paltz. So I'll keep it at that because I'm sure there will be many more comments. But I also want to say that I greatly appreciate the work you do for this town, all of you. And I'm really glad to have this opportunity to speak to you and to hear all the things that you're addressing for us, for all of us. So thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
So Matt, just so I wrote this back into an email response to you. So there is, early on when this project was getting started, there were concerns about the trees from the neighborhood. And there is an arborist who's going to be on this project. There's money in the budget, so there will be an arborist involved. So just so you know that. And so yes, there'll be one involved, and we'll make sure that they're more involved than just like a walkthrough, because I think there's a good amount of money there for them. So we'll make sure they're involved. And Edgar. I'm asking, you have to unmute, Edgar. I'm asking you to unmute. Hold on a sec. Edgar, did you have a comment? I guess we'll move on.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, this is a straightforward, uncontroversial question regarding the rental law and housing. Are there plans to improve the possibility of owners having accessory apartments in the town of New Paltz? Is that included in your draft or in any future changes that you're going to make? The idea that people can have accessory apartments.
That's not a conversation for today, but I'd like to have that conversation shortly.
They already can. We've had an accessory apartment law in the town of New Paltz for over a decade, I think. So you can already have accessory apartments in the town. We're taking a look at that law to make it easier for people. And
Right.
so it is, we'll probably be talking about that
Probably in the new year.
in the new year.
Thank you for that. That'll be very helpful, particularly to senior citizens. Thank you.
I agree with you.
All right. Any other comments? If not, Chris Hart. Did you?
Hi.
Yes, go
Hi,
ahead.
I unmuted. I want to thank you all tonight. I was had a whole lot of things to talk about, but I feel that almost everything is covered. So thank you, town board, for answering questions comfortably. I want to thank Matt for bringing it up, but then you for Neil, saying that an arborist will be present and not just standing by. So thank you for that. the question is about the running I know it's going through, so I'm not going to throw out all these different things, but I did want to also, again, Matt brought it up, referring to the neighbor who said glad to hear, and we need closure on trees and environmental concerns, etc. The earth is going to hell in a handbasket, and we don't need to have a closure on trees and environmental concerns that neighbors have had. So I just want to express a annoyance at that comment, that a closure on the environment. So anyway, the question is the pipes running to the house and all. Is it going to be that we are allowed to have the pipes run to the house? We'd like to have the pipes run to the house, but not hooked up directly if needed, if not wanted immediately, but if needed in the future, that they could be hooked up, and then the town would be paid for the water used, or the compensation would be made, etc. But will
Yeah.
the piping be run to the houses at no charge?
Yes, that's my understanding, right? That, and I'm almost positive that's the case. And anyone who is questioning, in my opinion, if you're not sure if you want to do this or not, that's exactly what you should do. Is, right now the town, the DEP is going to pay the town, but the project funded by the DEP will pay to have that water line go all the way into your house. And if you're not sure you want to connect it, don't connect it, but it's been paid for. You can always have the option later on, and it's not going to be that expensive to have a plumber come and then hook it up. But if you don't do that now, and then you have to have the line go from the road all the way to your house, you'll have to pay for that. Or maybe if you want to sell your house at some point, maybe the next owner will want that. So that's what I would recommend. But, the engineers are going to reach out to every single person, and they're going to be willing to meet with you, talk to you, explain any of your, questions, concerns, and they will talk to you about all of this. And I think they're even willing to let you decide, well, I have a tree right here. I want to miss that tree. They can go around and go in a different way, right? So yes, that's my understanding, Mr. Harp, that you can do that. And that's what I would recommend.
Yes, I agree. If you decide later, you pay for it later. So again, thank you, and again, please, keep environmental concerns. And I'm just concerned how to run a pipe to my house without taking out a 100-year-old tree here and a 100-year-old tree there, because the root systems of my house is surrounded by enormous trees. So anyway, thank you for your work.
It's not. I think some people use the environment to try to stop things from happening. I think we're all guilty of that. We're hoping that there's going to be a spotted owl somewhere when you don't want something built, right? But I think that's why some people say we're done with the environment, but we're not done with the environment. That's going to be taken into account throughout this entire project. So but we're not just going to throw everything out with the bathwater now. So you have my word on that.
Greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Any other, Mr. Merriman?
Yes, I just wanted to say I'm not done with the environment. I think I'm done with the decision-making, that when the town takes their time to look at the environmental impacts, make a decision on it, and then it gets challenged in court several times over. We have to be able to say at some point a decision about the environmental impacts is final. It's the decision-making that has to be final, not that I'm shutting out any thoughts about the environment. That was looked at 5 years ago. That was decided upon. That was discussed heavily 5 years ago. So please don't misunderstand. I'm not shutting out the environment. I'm saying decision-making that does look at environmental impacts has to have some finality. Thank you.
Thanks for your clarification, Mr. Merriman.
Any other comments? If not, I'd like to make a motion to authorize and approve items 1A through 1J on the consent agenda.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And so now I'd like to move on to item number 2, solar project on the landfill, and I would like to hand it over to Ted Nitza, who has been working on this project for a long time. Was it a year ago or 2 years ago, Ted, where we had this discussion? Maybe 2 years.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Wow. So let's see, I think you're sharing the screen and it's up to you. I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, okay. All right. So the screen should be shared. And I'll take it that it is. My name is Ted Netz again. I'm a civil environmental engineer. I live here in New Paltz, down in New Paltz. And I'm part of the ad hoc committee that was put together a couple years ago to study this issue and bring one of the first renewable energy type projects to the town at the old landfill site. This evening also is the rest of the ad hoc committee. Kara Lee is pictured. Janelle Piotr and Marty Irwin, who you remember as a former town board member of the town of New Paltz. And again, we appreciate being here this evening. This ad hoc group has been active for a couple of years. It spans the entirety of the COVID issue and also included most of 2019. We appreciate this opportunity this evening to note the progress that we've made and to present and facilitate the pre-steps, more specifically, the State Environmental Quality Review Act, or SEQRA, process, for this lease agreement consideration to consider. It's a gatekeeper or a first step for this. Our ad hoc committee and the leading solar developer resulting from a public request for proposal process. We continue to make solid progress towards making a recommendation to you, the board, on a long-term lease agreement with the town, again, for a solar facilities project at the old landfill. The figure that I have showing on the screen is perhaps the most important portion of my presentation this evening. A picture is worth 1,000 words. It's different than previous layouts that we've presented to the same board, and it's limited to just the cover area of the old landfill. There's no adjacent areas proposed at this time. No wooded areas, trails, or parking. The recycling center areas are not interfered with this. The solar facilities are limited to just on top of the old landfill. We are here this evening to recommend and facilitate the first preliminary aspects of the SEQRA process. Rick Golden, attorney for the planning board and other town items and issues, very familiar with them. He guided us all through this same process in 2019. At that time, it was a different solar developer, a different scheme. We did successfully complete the SEQRA process, which I'll explain here in more detail. But as you recall, we did not get to a point where we recommended approval of the lease agreement at that time under those scenarios. So again, he guided us through that process. He's reviewed these similar revised SEQRA documents this evening, and he is available if we need to reach out to him this evening also. But this is the initial administrative SEQRA process. It addresses only the town board's ability or the process of considering entering into an agreement of leased public land and infrastructure. It's not the actual project itself. It's this process right here, which we hope to bring to you in a couple of weeks. That would be the consideration of a long-term lease agreement. That lease agreement, not the project itself. A completed SEQRA process that we're recommending for this evening, and a public hearing then 2 weeks from tonight will allow then for the consideration of a lease agreement by this town board. This town board could then approve, table, delay, or even decline the agreement that's being recommended by the ad hoc committee, us as the ad hoc committee at that time, if we're to get to that. The process this evening entails what I would call 5 steps, and it's described, it's listed out in the agenda. I'll go over it briefly here. The first part is that the town is recommended to assume the SECRA lead agency role for this particular item. No other agencies are directly involved. No other agencies would be more applicable than this town board to assume that lead agency for this particular item. And then acceptance of the completed full environmental assessment form, parts 1 and part 2 for this administrative process that have been included with the resolutions you have this evening. And again, those environmental assessment forms approach or are addressing the administrative process of considering and perhaps approving the lease agreement, not the project itself. And then with that, acceptance of the typing of this action this evening as unlisted. It's not a type 1, it's not a type 2 type action under the SECRA process. It would be, or it is typed as a unlisted item. And then adoption of a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA for this, again, administrative process. And then the last part is to set then a public hearing for 2 weeks from tonight as the final step of this process. What you have in the packets and what's put together is actually it's one action, and it's a review and consideration of a resolution that entails the other attachments. So the resolution itself identifies the town board of New Paltz desires to consider a lease agreement in the near future, and that the board then resolves to assume lead agency, type the action as unlisted, acknowledges the receipt of the SECRA Form 1 and Form 2, and then adopts the negative declaration for this process because it finds that there'd be no significant adverse environmental impacts from the approval or consideration of the lease agreement. Those documents then are made attachments to the resolution that we have. So the resolution is the cover sheet. The Form 1, Part 2 are also included. And then the negative declaration is then the last part of that resolution you have in front of you. Our ad hoc committee, Kara, Janelle, Marty, myself, we do recommend its approval and consideration this evening. That would accomplish, again, the gatekeeper or the first aspects of this process. And we do feel we're very close within a couple of days of finalizing the lease agreement with the solar developer, and then we can present that to you, have it to you, and sort through, review, and consider that lease agreement for the town, again, at the old landfill. And again, I point out that the project at this time, different than in the past, is limited just to the cover of the old landfill as it's pictured here. And just to clarify what the picture is, the blue items are future solar panels as proposed for this project. The green area, again, is the landfill itself. We'd be interrupting no trees or recycling parking trail areas in that Clearwater Park up off of State Road 32. We're happy to address any questions, comments, concerns. The entire ad hoc committee is here. We look forward to continuing our work.
Thanks, Ted. It's been a long process, and I appreciate your work and the committee's work on this a great deal. So thank you. And could you just remind me again, what's the size of this project, megawatt?
Right now, it's about 3 megawatts.
3 megawatts, okay.
And in rough numbers, that's maybe 600-700 houses worth or equivalents of electricity generating power over the over the course of a year.
Okay. So, yeah, that's, the town has 14,000 residents. So, you know, that this is a, you know, a pretty good percentage of the number of, you know, residences in the town. So we have 14,000 residents. Everyone doesn't live in their own home. So this is probably not a, you know, not half, but it helps. And so, well, I think it helps us. We'll be doing our part to provide local power, local electricity. And so if any other board members have questions, I will open it up or comments.
Sorry, if I say something?
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming back with this plan. I'm very excited about it. And it looks great and it's going to be great for the town. I hope that, you know, this even might mean we would find other places that we could put solar and encourage others to do that. I had a question about, I remember last time there was, I don't remember the technical term for it, but it was sort of like a hub where there was only a certain amount of capacity, and the last project was going to take that entire capacity for that area. Ted, do you know what I'm talking about? Have I made it?
Yeah, I think,
I'm
you know,
just
one of
wondering if
the,
it's the same, or because I, you know, back then I kind of had a concern that maybe others couldn't use that hub if we were using it all up, and not that, you know, that would be terrible because it's great to use the, you know, all the capacities to make the most solar power. But I just wondered if that was the case again, if you know what I'm talking about, if I've made myself clear.
I'll attempt to answer the question, and again, I'll just stipulate that we do plan to make a full presentation of all the pros and cons and things of this when we're in the position to make that recommendation as an ad hoc committee to this town board. But the question you bring up, I think is related to the interconnection, you know, details or process of connecting this solar array that we plan for the landfill cover, just the cover, and its connection to Central Hudson's infrastructure. That has to be done in a deliberate and a careful way. There's a permitting process to that. And in doing that, one of the limiting factors is the actual, we'll say, you know, strength or capacity of Central Hudson's infrastructure in that particular part. Central Hudson has a number of maps and things that are available to see in what areas, what kind of connections can be made. In this area, it is, I would say, challenged. And the limiting factor of our project this time around is not tied to the interconnection directly. It's limited by the surface area of the landfill. In the past, we had much larger solar capacities in mind, but it meant that we were going beyond the landfill. Here, the project that's now proposed is smaller, but that also means that we're not taking as much space or encumbering as much capacity on Central Hudson's infrastructure in the same area.
Julie, this is Kara, and I would just add to that to say, this doesn't impede someone from having solar at their house,
Right.
which could go directly to their service.
I do remember that, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Just-
more of a larger installation is
Right.
right.
So we should have built a bigger landfill, Ted? Is that?
Well, I think, you know, with all that said, I do think, as Janelle was saying, you know, we're hoping that we're leading by example, you know, for the town and for the community at large, and that this is perhaps first of many similar projects to where we can find appropriate, useful spaces, whether that be parking lot, carports or rooftops, or commercial buildings, industrial buildings, or land that could be utilized for this in other ways, and build up, you know, that kind of capacity. If you allow me on my soapbox for a moment, we're going to need to do a lot of these type of renewable energy projects in order to wean ourselves more and more off of fossil fuels.
I'll also try not, I think the other thing about this, and I know I'm like walking a fine line here, but, you know, Ted was Ted got a grant to do a study with this project, right? So Ted and a SUNY professor working on a project to look at how these solar projects can be developed. So it's actually better for the environment, for the pollinators and birds. Is that right, Ted?
That's right. Similar to, what we call as environmental engineers, or, the frogs in a landfill, or frogs in a wetland, or parakeets in the mine. We're using in our NYSERDA funded study migratory birds and insects as indicators of the health of an area. We're measuring the strength, the diversity, the populations of those migratory birds and insects before we do any construction, monitoring it during the construction, and then we'll monitor it, test it afterwards. But it's not static, because each step of the way, if we learn something, or if we pick up something, or if we want to try something, we'll go ahead and integrate that into the solar array design. That's the portion that NYSERDA is interested in. What can we do to enhance pollinator habitats, protect pollinator habitats, protect certain threatened species of plants or animals? What kind of things can we do to the solar array that would enhance the wildlife aspects of these kind of installations, to perhaps make them easier to site in other areas throughout not only New York, but the country.
And I think that then NYSERDA is hoping to use those results for future landfill developments in other parts of the state as well. So, not only are we trying to do good green power, but we're also trying to make policy changes based on science. So
That's great.
So any other questions? If not, we'll and correct me when I do the wrong things in the wrong order, Ted. But
Mhm.
so my motion would be to declare seeker lead agency. Is that right? The first one?
Yep.
Yes.
Second motion.
And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. That's for the town board to be lead agent.
Lead agent for the
Equal considerations.
for fiscal considerations, not for the construction of the landfill.
So it's for the lease.
For the lease, yes. And so motion to accept seeker the full environmental assessment form.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then motion to declare this as a type 2, declare this as an unlisted action under seeker and adopt a negative declaration.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then finally, a motion to set the public hearing for November 18th, 2021 at, when do you guys want to do it? We have a police commission meeting that night. Should we do it at
Do
7?
we start at 6:30, the police commission? Or did it become 7?
I think we're starting at 6:30 on November 18th. Why don't we set the public hearing for 7:30?
Oh, you think the police commission meeting is going to run over our normal allotted time?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, and Neil, we're going to want to probably keep public hearings open for the budget and the rental registration law as well.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be 3 or more.
Yeah, we'll probably have
Hmm,
many public hearings that evening, so.
just have them.
Okay, is that all? All in favor?
Aye.
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 And then the actual resolution, Kathy should have a resolution number to it. If you could consider the approval of that resolution.
So I have the resolution for seeker lead agency, acceptance and review of seeker full environmental assessment form, typing action as enlisted action under seeker, adoption of a negative declaration. So I'd like to make a motion to adopt, this resolution is on the town boards up on the website. I'd like to make a motion to accept this resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.
thank you, board, on
Thank
behalf
you,
of
Ted.
myself and the rest
Thank
of the
you.
ad hoc committee. Thank you.
Thank you to the entire committee. Great work. Great work.
It's not over yet.
We're excited about it. This looks like it's very promising.
Thank you, guys.
Once again, New Paltz leading the way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very exciting.
It's definitely a win-win-win.
Absolutely.
You're a winning team.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is number 3. This is a sewer bill for 11 Old Route 299. We've been working on this one for a while, but this is the way we had to do it is we re-levied this onto their property taxes, but we've they're paying part of the amount that they owe, and we're returning the rest, but we have to do it through the re-levy process. So there's a form, but the customer was charged $13,295.09. We agreed on a sum of $431.68 upon leaving a disputed charge of $8,863.41. We're going to issue a tax credit to the customer. So the motion is to approve the application for a refund of property taxes in the amount of $8,863.41.
Second that motion.
Could I ask for discussion?
Sure.
If what is the reason for the allowance? That 4,000, I guess it's 8,000.
So we talked about this in executive session once
Yes.
before.
Okay, so
And, we kind of negotiated back and forth,
I'm remembering.
and this is kind of a fair amount.
Yeah, I'm remembering.
And it's not like water, where it was produced and we have to pay for it. So
Yeah.
based on our attorney's suggestion, this is what we should be
Thank you.
doing. So
'Cause
all in-
I knew that many people had issues with the water and
Yeah,
I
this
wanted
is-
just for some clarity.
this is sewer though.
Yeah, I remember the difference was that it didn't go through the whole come out at the other end.
So all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Plumbing metaphor.
And so number 4, so this Trans Hudson has asked, they've petitioned us to expand the water and sewer districts to include the property at on North Putt Corners Road. So the first step in that is for us to establish an escrow account so that we can actually pay to have our attorney look at things, and it doesn't cost us any money. It just costs the applicant money. And so this is a motion to establish an escrow in the amount of $5,000 with a replenishment level of $2,500. That's,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I guess also I'd like to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to write to the village asking for its consent to this is our Joe Morello, our attorney, has said the next step is that we ask the village for their consent to extend the water district and the sewer district extensions in the event that the town should determine to form such a district extension.
I second the motion for the supervisor to be able to request that of the village.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Are we going to discuss secret all regarding this?
We will. We're going to have to, once we have we'll have a public hearing on this, and there'll be seeker and all of that. But first, we have to have the escrow so we can pay our attorney to talk to their attorney without it costing us any money. So all of that, and once we have the escrow, we'll set a public hearing, and there'll be a public hearing for all of that.
And I think we recently, today maybe got an invitation to go to the village's village board meeting.
Correct.
And I think that's on the agenda to discuss the water, the expansion.
They want to discuss Water District 5.
Oh, that wasn't, I read it really quickly. So this wasn't
I
on that.
think, I'm assuming.
Okay.
So,
There you go. Not this one.
and so I,
Well, we'll probably discuss it with the village at some point, I hope.
yeah. So Jean's here. If any board members have questions.
Oh, did we vote on that last one?
Okay, all in favor of
In case we didn't.
allowing authorizing the supervisor to ask the village to extend the districts?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
So we kind of did my budget presentation earlier. I don't have anything else to say about it right now. I don't know if anyone wants to talk to Jean about this.
I have two questions for Jean, actually. Question one is, do you mind just clarifying about funding for the youth center? I also, before you do that, can anyone hear Jean, who's in the, I think you're gonna probably have to come up here.
You have to sit there.
Don't mind.
It'd be better if she moved closer.
Mhm.
Sorry, Jean.
Okay. So funding for the youth center was not cut. What we did was,
Still can't hear her.
We have to sit a little closer to the
Sorry.
The owl.
owl.
Yeah.
Stand up for Mike.
so customarily, we budget for $2,000 annually for food for the youth center. And it was discovered, it costs us around $7,000, which is not something that we normally budgeted for. So we can use ARPA funds for the $5,000 that we cut the youth center budget.
So, yeah, I mean, if we're not gonna not feed kids at the youth center. I mean, I
It's
was,
just that we're able to use the money for that.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a reasonable expense to use that money. No one's gonna ever argue with us about using rescue plan money to feed kids at the youth center. Some kids take that food home.
No,
But
that's a
also
meal
the
for one.
numbers are up.
Yeah.
Since COVID.
The numbers,
making it COVID directly related.
I'm
And
sure.
that-
the numbers are through the roof at the youth center. They stayed open the whole time.
So that was all the
Yep. No.
Yeah.
next question.
I had one more for you, but I want to also, if I don't want to dominate it, so if other colleagues want to jump in first, I'm happy to yield.
Jean, can you just clarify on that same issue? So is the current place our budget is right now? I understand it's still a work in progress, but in the current state it's in, are we cutting services to youth programs?
No,
No,
no.
Thank you.
we've actually, I mean, I guess I got touchy about this because, talk to Jim, when I first got here, and Julie and Dan and, David and Alex, we looked at the salaries across the whole town. Like 8 out of the 10 lowest paid employees were at the youth center. And so we've been raising their salaries to make it so they can actually, we can attract and keep good
And so
people.
it went up.
Some of them had been there, when I started, if I'm remembering correctly, one of them had been there maybe 8 years, had a college degree and was making $12 an hour, if that. And so,
We are now also reimbursing tuition for advanced degree programs for several of the folks who are, at least one of the folks who are working in the youth center. So just wanted to get that answer on the record that we're not cutting programs for youth programs as part of this budget reconciliation where we are right now.
Yeah, and I think it's actually important to note, we're not only not cutting it, we're actually increasing it as
Right.
well.
So we cut 5,000 between the tentative budget and the preliminary budget, but we've increased their budget $10,000 over last year.
Thanks for that clarity, Jean.
Thank you. I had one more unless someone else wanted to hop in.
Go ahead.
Seeing none, I'm gonna go. So if you are a resident and you have a $10 million credit card bill, that sounds horrifying. We are not residents. We are a municipal government. do you mind explaining what it means when governments have debts and what that looks like as well? If that is an out of line scenario from other municipalities, why people choose to do that? This is a very broad question, but I think that it's important to kind of just discuss what that looks like, and what that means.
It's very common.
Yes.
And I think it's important. It's important to note that although we have $8 million in debt for this absolutely beautiful building, the $9 million in that debt schedule that was referenced earlier tonight, there is no money in here for that $9 million debt, because that will be fully reimbursed by the DEP and is in the capital fund.
Yep.
So I will pay for it out of the borrowed funds, it was submitted and get reimbursed to continue with the project.
Yeah, and just so for people who can't see Jean, when she said in here, she's referring to the town budget as well, too.
Yes, so, yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, we borrowed $9 million for this water district on Plains Road. We borrowed that money because we're paying over the next year, that's how much this project is gonna cost. We're getting reimbursed for that, all of that money, and we're gonna pay off that $9 million that we're borrowing. So like, it looks like, oh my God, the town's debt went crazy because we suddenly borrowed, $20 million this year.
Now, if you look at the debt schedule that was referenced earlier, that debt does not exceed 3 years, because I knew we were gonna pay it off.
And I would say too, I think this is important because I do think that transparency in budgeting is important as well. But I will take some responsibility for this. I also think it's important to provide numbers with context. So I think this is an example of, I'm happy we were providing documents that people were looking for, but the context is also important to the broader conversation as well too. So I appreciate you clarifying that point.
So Jean, you've been clear on nothing from the new water district is coming out of, the debt service for that is not coming out of our annual budget. But it is, can you clarify as it regards the borrowing that has been done for the building that we're sitting in?
It's on my debt schedule. That's where it is, David. That's it. But nothing incurred for Water District 5 is charged in the ordinary budget.
Yeah, so,
Did I not answer that? right?
yeah, no, like, so there is no money in this budget for the water district because we're not paying for it.
Yes, I get that. There is something for the debt service for the new police and justice center.
Yes. Yes.
And so, I mean, the argument could be made like, well, should the town have, maybe we could have just raised taxes or saved up $9 million and then just paid for the building in cash, right? That's one way to do it, or you borrow the money, right? I would argue that, most towns don't save up the money and then, just like most people don't save up money and then buy a house with cash. At least I didn't, you get a mortgage, right? Which is what we did with a 20-year bond.
So this is common in all municipalities to borrow for what you're investing in your infrastructure and creating an asset, a long-term asset, which the town didn't have with the old, what was it, the VFW?
Yeah.
Okay, they got the building for free from the VFW. It is now demolished because of the mold. So you have to invest to have assets on your books as well.
I mean, I'll also say, we worked with Alfondre Architecture on this building, and they kept referring to this as a 50-year building, right? So we didn't scrimp. I mean, yes, we redid a warehouse, but I mean, Rick had a nice article that they put up. We put extra insulation in. This is about as green building as you can build when you're retrofitting a building. So it's super well insulated. There's heat recapture, very, very good air
Filtration.
filtration systems.
And this is a very important point. So, it was also brought up earlier about cost savings on this new building, and that you can't see it in the 2022 preliminary budget. The police moved in September. The Justice Court either moved in today or they're moving in tomorrow. But there is no pattern, there is no history to make cuts to the electric bills, the fuel bills, or anything like that, because we just don't have the history. The cost savings, we're gonna see in 2020. So I really can't, other than the $90,000 rent bill, I can't address those other things, but we couldn't even budget for them. We had to leave it the same.
And just to add, the uncertainty of that lease being up on the police building, and needing to have our own structures, needing to save where the courts were in the buildings they were in, which were improper. It's a great project, under budget, on time. It's a great project for this town and a great project for our future.
And I actually want to thank you, David, for noting that. I feel like we've talked about this tonight because of the format of this meeting in a very defensive way. And we really shouldn't be. To be really candid, the last time, and the town historian can correct me if I'm wrong on this, the last time the town had a major building, the plaque for the town that dedicated that building, the person who dedicated it outlived the building. So we have given up, we frankly gave up on infrastructure in the town of New Paltz for decades. And I'm going to give the credit to the supervisor here as well. And I genuinely believe what I'm going to say is I think you have shown a larger commitment to the infrastructure to the town of New Paltz than anyone has, without a doubt, in recent memory, and frankly, relative to town facilities in the last century. I mean, it's really remarkable what we're doing, and that we're sitting here today, and that we did it during a pandemic as well, and that we did it considering the community that we represent, and make sure to think of the environment and to have local people work on this and to put this together and put it forward. And to be frank, we're not done yet too, because we're obviously looking at other capital projects moving forward too, and I'm very excited for that. This is a priority, and I think it does speak to our priorities to finally invest in ourselves as a community. And I'm really proud that we're sitting here today as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
It's been a crazy year and a half trying to do this building. And I don't know if Marty is still here. I see you on the Zoom call, but Marty, former town board member, Marty Irwin, was phenomenal and unbelievably instrumental in making sure this building got done on time and under budget. Like, Marty, thank you. You did a huge amount for this. And I know because I'd get on the end of some email chain when finally I had to weigh in, and there'd be 100 emails that Marty kind of straightened out a million problems before they got to me. And so I appreciate that. So thanks, Marty.
Continued great service to our community, Marty. Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Yes, Marty, thank you.
I appreciate you allowed me to remain a part of this effort after my term ended. It was one of my goals, and thanks very much.
Thanks.
I just want to add too, this is Alex. Dan, thank you for those words, and Neil for working so hard on this. Marty for starting it from the very beginning, and I think the rest of the board for supporting it. I think there's an incredible sense of pride that one has when you're working in a building that has that level of care, that level of architecture. And it says something about our town when you can go to court, even if you got a ticket, or you can go to the police department and you see a building and you see a certain dedication of the people and of the people who govern this town, that this is the kind of place we want to walk into and we want to know that it represents us. And I think the longevity of it is what we've all talked about, that our kids and their kids 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years from now are going to see the care that we had in building this. And they're going to thank us and they're going to say, wow, even during a difficult time, this town had the belief in itself, in the beauty of its own people. So really it's that we're caring for our people, we're caring for our town. And it sort of hurts when somebody says that, it's an incredible amount of money. Well, you have to look at it in the perspective of how a budget actually builds a building. And it doesn't happen with, $100 or $200. It is a big budget, but look at what we're getting. Look at the amount per year that this is going to last. And again, Dan had said before, and Neil had said, this is an investment, a huge investment in the future of our town. So I just want to thank everybody who has worked on it and know that I am incredibly excited about it.
If I might add, it's a team effort. And the town engaged Matt Eiler to be the town's representative or project manager. And we brought in the Palumbo Group as construction managers. And of course, everything else was publicly bid. But it was such a great team to manage the project through a pandemic when the supply chains were totally disrupted. And the team found a way to get us to where we are right now and where three of you are sitting in a new courtroom. And I think it was a team effort. Everybody pulled their part of it and made it happen.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good point.
I just want to say it seems like so many details were really thought of, and maybe I mentioned it before, but I just want to say, sitting in this room, looking around is really remarkable. And also just, I can tell all the detail that went into it, especially things like the healthy air. It's incredibly, there's nothing off-gassing in here, Marty. I don't know how you did it. I've been in a lot of buildings that have recently been redone, and there is nothing that I smell that's off-gassing. And I think I could be hired as like an off-gassing sniffing dog. So I really appreciate that. I was, you would completely expect that.
That's marmoleum.
What, Emily?
Marmoleum, it's a natural flooring.
See?
It's not made of plastic.
Incredible.
It's great. And that's a testament, I think, to Alfondre Architecture.
Yeah.
That is indeed. Thanks to Alfondre's team that paid so much attention to it.
What I'll say, yes, this is a lot of money, right? $9 million, right? But it's also our responsibility to find long-term solutions. Our police chief this is his third police building in the town of New Paltz, right? And so that says something, right? It's not good to just keep moving from place to place, right? At some point, you need to find a final solution. And yes, maybe it was a little bit cheaper to rent, but at some point you need to address the problem and solve it, which I think this building does. And so also 9 million, wow, that's a lot of money, right? When we say that, that's a lot of money for you and I. What I will say, the equivalent of that is if you make $30,000 a year, which I think is the median income for many people in parts of the town, it'd be the equivalent of you buying a house for $20,000, right? Because our annual budget is 12 million. We just bought a building for 50 years for 9 million. So 9 million is a lot of money, but it's the equivalent of you buying with a $30,000 salary of buying a $20,000 house. It's not an unbelievable amount of money when you put it in the right context. So yes, 9 million is a lot. But let's look at the bigger picture and look at what our budget is. Can we handle a $9 million debt when our annual budget is $12 million over 20 years? Yes, I think we can. And we're not a bunch of kids in the room, right? I wish I was. But anyway, thank you, Gene. Thank you, Marty.
Thank you.
And thanks to the whole team on this building. We're looking forward to bringing people in here. And we're going to have a public tour soon, and people will get to see what their tax dollars is being spent on. So, any other questions for Jean? She's like trying to get out of here.
I don't blame her. I'm good.
I'm good. So I'd like to make a motion to set the public hearing for the Shungum Ridge Critical Environmental Area for December 2nd, 2021.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, and I'll just say that this is for seeker. Right? This is because we've had our public hearings.
Okay.
For the law.
So this is the public hearing for
For
seeker.
seeker, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All in
So-
favor?
Second that. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, this next one is, I want to have a discussion about, yeah, I've talked to the head of the ZBA and the head of the planning board, and so we started having discussions about, attendance, for the police commission, and then this came up for other boards. And so this is an idea to, is the board interested, the chairs of these boards are interested in requiring board members to attend at least 75% of the meetings over the course of a year.
I'm very much in favor of this. The one component I do have is I do think it would be fair to have the chair be able to determine what is a reasonable absence.
Yeah, I guess the way the law is written is that the town board, if someone has to miss more than 25%, and this is just a discussion, I would ask Joe to write up this law. I think I sent some of the text to people. It's the clock starts in January, and then December 1st of the year, it's like if they've missed more than 25%, that they can send a letter or address the town board and say, well, I had a medical issue or a family issue, and it's not like a yes or no, they're just off. The board can say, fine, that was an excusable reason, but it just means that they kind of know that there's an expectation that they attend a majority of the meetings.
Does this, what if someone's attending it via video conference?
That counts as attending a meeting if it's allowed under the open meetings law.
So do you know about, for example, the planning board currently, well, let's say it's COVID rules are over.
I mean, if it's allowed under open meetings law and they were at the meeting, then it counts as attending the meeting.
Do we
Like,
know if it's allowed under open, if that's allowed normally when it's not COVID under open meetings law?
There are a certain amount that you are allowed to do within a calendar year.
Of a video conference?
That's correct.
Okay. So we'd have to figure
I
that one
would
out.
I would just add, I'm in favor of this law too, that 75% seems very reasonable amount of meetings to take. And that I would ask Joe, as he reviews this, to just look into the issue that Julie is talking about, do we want to have anything about being in person at those meetings, or is it okay to be by video from an alternate location?
I think the end is, the bottom line is, if you're allowed to vote at the meeting, that would count as attending the meeting.
Okay.
But I mean, you have an obligation, if you're going to be on one of these boards, you have an obligation to attend the meeting and be a participant,
Yes.
right? And so if you attend the meeting and you're not voting, it doesn't count as attending the meeting because you're not doing your part as a board member. That's my issue.
Yeah.
Right, and so it's like, if you're allowed to attend via video or not, if that means you're allowed to vote, then it counts as attending the meeting.
Yep.
But,
That's right.
if you're just attending the meeting and you're like, well, I can't vote, but I'm just gonna be here, you're not helping anyone. So,
I'd love to ask about, I know how there's education requirements for
Yep.
certain boards, like the planning board. It's, what is it called? Not
there's training,
education,
they have an
training.
annual
Yeah, 5
required
hours.
training.
Right, so I would love to see, there be some sort of, I guess, enforcement sounds like the bad, too strong a word, but, if we're not,
is.
It is,
so it is, people are,
yeah, they have to keep track of it.
so the board, who's doing that?
Usually the planning board secretary.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I've
Just-
also reviewed it before in the
Mhm.
past too. We did
Yeah.
have a question once
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Yeah.
So that is kept.
Okay.
Yep.
And is that just for the planning board then?
The planning board is the only one that has that
Mhm.
kind of requirement.
Yep.
I will say at our next meeting, when we talk about police commission procedures,
Mhm.
it's a part of the
Very good, yeah.
conversation I'd like to bring up as well.
Okay, so I will, we don't need a motion for that, but I'll ask Joe to get started on that. And then when we have that, we'll set a public hearing at some point.
Okay, can I just expand that motion, Neil, to include item 9, which is, can we have Joe look at attendance at planning board meetings and also any other issues that are coming up around ethical actions among planning board members, anything that feels like it needs to be tightened up around our ethics policies around planning board meetings, so that he can bring us proposals, he can bring the town board proposed law changes.
Yeah, we'll have him look into both of those at the same time. If we're going to be amending that particular code, it makes sense to do them both at the same time. So thank you, David.
That's my proposal. Thank you.
All right.
We certainly appreciate our planning board. That's a 7-year term.
Yeah.
And David, now that, the reality is sinking in that you won't be with our board next year, I want to thank you for the excellent job you've done as liaison.
Thanks, Julie.
Sure.
Thanks all.
I just had one
Yes,
thing.
I second that.
Aye.
Great group to work with.
I just one quick thing I wanted to say before we adjourn as well.
I have a note. I got to do the authorized prepaid.
Oh, we gotta do that, but I'll keep going. One, I want to congratulate Neil on getting reelected.
Oh, you too, Dan.
I was also reelected. I see that Essie Lewis is on the line as well too. Very much looking forward to working with Essie.
Me too.
Essie is a legacy
too.
council member as well. Her father served, I think he was elected in 2007, if I recall, and served a 4-year term as well too. So dedication to her community is in her blood, which is awesome. And she's a lifelong New Paltz resident as well too. So very excited about that. I do just want to quickly note, because I think it's important in the context of the beginning of our meeting as well. This was the second election cycle we had where there was no one who sought office. We had uncontested elections again. And we did a forum the other day at Woodland Pond, and we were asked why we thought this was. And I think it's very much twofold. I think the fact that we're in a pandemic and tensions are high and people are stressed is a big part of it. And I also think too that, and I'm not asking anyone to take pity upon us, we choose to do this, but these are difficult jobs. The council member salary is about $7,000. And I just wanted to just reiterate too that we're a small community of 14,000. If our town has debt issues, which I'm not saying we do, like we feel that as well. We shop at the same grocery store. We see each other all the time on the streets as well, and it is a very stressful time. But I just, for ourselves and for members of the public as well, I do just kind of want to remind people of that we are all neighbors and we can have different opinions, and I think that's great. But I do think that we want to maintain an environment always where someone does wish to volunteer, or someone does wish to run for office. Because I think that we often forget that creating an environment where people don't want to do that is really dangerous for democracy as well. So I wanted to thank you for choosing to do this job again. And I know it's not because of the really great salary. I wanted to thank Essie for agreeing to step up to do that. I definitely want to thank David for not only his service, but you said a while ago you weren't running, so you've been a lame duck for a bit. And you've continued to work really hard, and that has not gone unnoticed. And I want to also just say to anyone in the public too, that we definitely appreciate your comments, your thoughts, and your feedback. And I also would say that we really love when people also choose to step up as well, whether that be volunteering for one of the boards we're talking about or running for office as well too. We're a community, we're a small local democracy. It takes all of us to do it. And I just wanted to thank you and all my colleagues for being willing to do that too.
And Chris Marks.
And Chris, I'm so sorry, Chris. That was really rude of me.
And
Chris as well.
So
Chris is such an institution that I forget that he's even an elected official because of the great work that he does and because he's just always been there for the town. So no disrespect, Chris. Congratulations. on
Thanks.
being
I'm
reelected as
glad.
well, too.
I'm glad to be working with Chris for another 4 years. Chris Marks, a highway
Yeah.
superintendent.
Yes, congratulations to all of you guys. Congratulations, Dan, and Neil, and Chris, and Essie. Very excited.
Well, thanks for your words, Dan. That was really very nice. And I want to
Yeah,
thank
they
the
were
community.
lovely.
I'm looking at some of the names that, Neil doesn't have their faces, he has names. But I can see the names of people who, are on this Zoom, and, there definitely are people that that could be doing something else, and people that have been focused on town issues for years. And I think that's really crucial. And I think Dan's absolutely right that maintaining a civil, I think that's what he was getting at, maintaining a civil tone, encouraging people to get involved and go outside their comfort zone. There's nothing quite like doing exactly what we're doing. And I definitely encourage people to think about that as a possibility. Dan or David, did you have your hand up?
Oh, just stretching. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so number 9, before we forget, I'd like to make a motion to authorize prepays for closing expenses and purchasing the Roars property for payment on November 5th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's what I had.
All right.
Thanks.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Alex?
All those in favor?
Aye. Thank
Aye.
you, everyone.
Aye. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Can't wait to see you here, Alex.
I know, I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm sorry, it was a busy day today for me, but I'll see you guys at the next one for sure. I'll be there in person.
Great.
All right. See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.
Arrived.